All right. We're on the Hockey Podcast. We are back, episode 95 this week. I do want to start real quick before we get into any introduction. I do want to give well wishes. I know Dawg Nation will probably touch on it. Well wishes to Peter McNabb, who is fighting cancer. His every intention of, based on a statement given by him to be a part of Avalanche broadcasts this season, just by his own admission, just with a little bit of a different haircut. So he has high spirits and a good sense of humor about it, but well wishes to him and his fight with cancer to start things
for
off.
doing it. I appreciate that. I saw him, his old buddies call him Maxie. I saw Maxie at the Dawg Nation golf outing on the 13th of September. He's been looking a little frail, and as understandably, but good spirits. And
for years, we've noticed that for a couple of years when we watch a game, we've made comments about, I wonder if he's sick, or I wonder if something's going on. He looks a little. So it makes sense that it's come out with a diagnosis like this. It's unfortunate, and prayers to him and his family. But
absolutely,
if anybody can pull through, it's him. So
yeah, he's a good dude. He's people don't realize he scored just short of 400 goals in the National Hockey League. And
you won't believe that if you listen to him during a broadcast.
I know. He's the most self-deprecating guy.
He doesn't sell himself very highly with the things he says. But
he would also tell you that he got worked over a lot when he tried to rough it up with somebody, but he was no one to trifle with.
Yeah.
That I don't care what he says. He was a goal scorer, and he was a tough dude, and he played a big man's game. And we wish him the best, because he's been a fixture in Colorado for a long time.
Absolutely.
And good on old Maxie. When he broke into the league, his roommate was Tim Horton.
Oh, nice. Yep. No, I think I heard you mention that before. So anyway, wanted to start it off, well wishes and prayers to him and his family. I know our friends with Dawg Nation will probably be doing some sort of event or tribute or message for him as well. So
definitely. And
well-deserved well wishes for a respected guy in not only hockey, but in the Colorado community. So
top-notch guy. And I've always wished that he or Ray Ferraro would have been the ideal guys to take over for Don Cherry. Their perspective on the game, their sense of humor. If you could take the corporate reins off of Peter McNabb, he is absolutely hilarious.
That's what I was just going to say. The only problem with Peter McNabb is the replacement is you'd have to hire him on. He'd have to want to do it and leave Colorado, which I'm not sure at this point in his life he would want to. He seems to have a very good, comfortable gig doing what he does for the Avalanche. But if he did say yes to it and you did bring him in, you'd have to, in his contract and for employment, have to basically give him free reign.
Yep.
He's not hindered by things. Because the problem with, and diehard Avalanche fan here, but the issue with altitude and the Avalanche and the way they have it, and it's not necessarily the Avalanche, it's altitude. The way they have it is you can't say anything negative against the Avalanche. So even if it's something critical to, ooh, that was a bad giveaway, if you listen to a broadcast, it's immediately followed up with 2 or 3 extremely positive things.
Well, he doesn't even say any bad things about anybody, anywhere in the league, the opponent or the referees or any. He just his spin is 100% positive, and that's fine. You don't need a guy, spreading poison out there. But on the other hand, what makes the game funny is being able to be candid. And that's one of the things that Grapes has done all of his career. It's what Ray Ferraro has done so well. It's what Nick Kyprios did well. You just have to be able to be honest, and nobody has thicker skin than a hockey player. So I don't see why they don't do it, except in a politically correct world. A couple other pieces of news for you. First of all, on the subject of Dawg Nation, great organization. If you're not familiar with them, become familiar. DAWGNation.com. They are a fantastic Colorado-based hockey charity, and know the guys well. Love the whole thing, the people that run it and what they do for the community and for players. There is a ton of good stuff going on there at Dawg Nation. So become familiar with them and follow or support. Another piece of news for you, and I think I can say this without violating any confidentiality. Our good friend Dave Jackson has been hired by ESPN to do the officiating consulting on air broadcast 62 games this year on ESPN. So he will be the guy, if you watch PGA golf, he'll be the guy explaining the rules. His objective is to demystify what most fans don't understand about how the game is called and why. And so he'll do a fantastic job at that because of the experience of nearly 1,600 games and his personality. So good for Dave. I think he starts on opening night in Toronto. So that'll be a welcome addition. We're going to, I believe, what's today? Friday night. Oh, I don't know if I should say this or not. I don't think he listens to us yet.
If he doesn't, then shame on him. You talk about objectivity and quality hockey content. He should be listening to us if he doesn't already. So shout out to him. Shout out to him if he does. If he doesn't, then
we'll try to get him corrected.
Get on the ball here.
I'm going to a birthday party for your old pal this weekend, but it's a surprise, so I can't say it right out loud. Okay.
But, okay. Well, just in case he listens, don't say it out loud. You've told me off air, so I know who you're talking about. Hey, happy for my best bud. Tremendous.
I knew that. I knew you'd like that.
Well, War Room Hockey Podcast, episode 95. We are back with you via Zoom. We'll put this one on YouTube for you as well. Make sure if you haven't already, you head to the necessary social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, War Room Hockey Podcast, at War Room Hockey Podcast, respectively. We are on Apple Music, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. We're on Amazon Music, and we are on iHeartRadio. We've had some technical difficulties on iHeartRadio, but we are on there, and we are also on YouTube, War Room Hockey Podcast as well. So make sure you subscribe, rate and review, hit the notification bell, and share. Share us with anybody you know. Engage with us, write in questions, comments, anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll get going here. War Room Hockey Podcast. A lot of things coming up. I think we'll start with some of the changes we're looking forward to with our podcast coming up, and then we can get into hockey.
What'd you say this is, 95? Is this 95 today?
95.
All right. Good.
95. So War Room Hockey Podcast looking at some changes coming up here in the future. Not a whole lot of change in terms of how we talk in a way. I'm not a big fan of the strictly interview style of things. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Okay, have a good one, bye. But we are looking at more of a structured professional presentation coming up here in the near future. We will at some point too in the future. I know we've talked about it. I know some of you are probably even waiting for it, but here in the near future too, we're going to hammer down the technical side of video and things, and getting more consistent with video in studio podcasts as well as the audio. Right now we do the video via Zoom. That only provides a certain level of quality. So here at some point when we're in person again, when we get settled in certain aspects of life here, we'll hammer that down and get that officially ready to go. And hopefully here too, when we get settled down, War Room will be having more consistent guests on, provide a little more freshness to it than just us and our faces and our voices, even though how can you really get tired of us?
I know. But don't be ridiculous.
So a lot to look forward to with that.
I know you'll be looking for my help on the technical side, so anytime you're ready, just let me know, and I'll
yes
show you where the on-off switch is.
Also, we've touched on it. It's something we are going to do. It's something I'd like to do. Obviously, there's going to be an aspect of it that unfortunately will be missing, but we are going to do with each episode. Not even, I scratch that. I don't want to do it with episodes. I want to make it its own thing for YouTube and stuff, but we're going to do whiteboard sessions since we watch since we watch a lot of hockey and we both have coached and we both have whiteboards, put a camera on the whiteboard and kind of walk through a play or two that we've noticed, both good or bad, either one, in one of the games we watch each night, and have it filmed, and that way we can upload it and talk it through it. Copyright issues, the best way to do the whiteboard session would then be have video to be able to show the play and then walk through it. But obviously we can get around that sort of in the meantime with just kind of explaining it and explaining what period and who was involved and things. There's no way for us to put an NHL licensed clip on our YouTube without any issues. So we're going to have to avoid that aspect, but whiteboard session nonetheless will be good to walk through. I'd love to have done it for last night, the play Seattle and Edmonton between Hyman and McDavid on their goal.
That was just beautiful. Boy, there was
beautiful play. And if that's what we have to look forward to in Edmonton, Edmonton may make a step this season. Finally having Hyman with somebody to play with McDavid. Nonetheless, though, would love to have done a whiteboard session. I may even do a whiteboard session myself for it, for that play, just kind of explain it, walk through it. But that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I get it. And that's a perfect one, because when I saw that thing, I wasn't watching the game. I watched Boston Rangers. I watched most of the Avalanche game with Vegas. But they showed the highlight of that thing, and I got to stand up and salute Puljujarvi, because his backhand pass to McDavid made that world go around. Not only chased down a loose puck, found McDavid in full stride on the backhand, between the dots, bang, bang. And this is a guy that a year and a half ago, we were talking about him being one of the colossal busts of the last 20 years. So maybe it just took him a little while to get it going. Let's see. But yeah, I know which.
Look forward to that. I hope you're looking forward to it. At least at the start of the regular season.
Yeah,
that's going to be a daily thing up on our YouTube. If not done by both of us, then at least done by me and communicated and detailed between the both of us, and put on our YouTube to at least describe some really good plays, guys moving without the puck, good puck movement, good power play, good whatever, or bad. This was a mistake, bad giveaway. Why'd you do this? Back to the basics of developmental hockey, nothing up the middle, kind of thing, whatever. But walk through the whiteboard, coach style, for people to kind of get a more in-depth kind of coach feel with it than just simply watching a game. So,
and on the subject of that, Evan, let me just say for everybody listening, it doesn't matter who you are or what level you have been at. Sorry for the dangling participle, but it doesn't matter where you've been. You can come from a professional rank into a peewee practice, and you can learn something. And it could be somebody doing something really impressive without the puck, or somebody doing something very instinctive, or it could be a great defensive play. It could be a practice session that can drill something that you want implemented during the game. But you can learn something from anywhere, and a good coach will always know that. Nobody at any level of coaching should ever say, I got it and I don't need any more. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward, and you can learn from anywhere, and you should learn from anywhere, or you're not really all that great to begin with. So keep your mind and your eyes open, and you will always become better day by day.
Hope everybody has an open mind with our whiteboard sessions coming up and is looking forward to it. So War Room whiteboard sessions coming up, at least, if not here in the next day or two, covering a few moments in the preseason, definitely to start the regular season and throughout the season. We'll do very consistent whiteboard sessions. So a lot to look forward to with that.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's one of my favorite things. Even though I was never much of an X's and O's guy, because I don't have the instinct. That's going to be fun, and I love doing that. Do we need to be careful that the NHL is using our content without permission? I mean, I know we can't use theirs, but do we need to watch? Do we need to get somebody involved to make sure that we're protected? Like, I'm a little new at this.
We could bring back Louis.
Do you think he'd
bring back Louis, hire him in a different capacity, make sure he's our intellectual property consultants, make sure he's got everything, all our ducks in a row. But I will say this, I can't say that I'd be against the NHL using some of our content. We're getting our name out there, and it means it means what we already know, and we're speaking truth. So
yeah, I get it. And I would look the other way for that.
Yeah. Episode 95, Warm the Hockey Podcast. Get into some hockey things here to close things out, and then we'll continue moving forward, getting ready for the regular season, which is coming up in the next 2.5 weeks to start the year, and hopefully an 82 game schedule, and hopefully
that'd be nice.
Hopefully we get an 82 game schedule, full playoffs, fans in seats, all that stuff.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm with you on all that. And so far, so good for the most part, at least in the National Hockey League level. Some of the junior leagues have to figure out what they're going to do and how, based on the states and provinces and restrictions that they have to deal with. But watching the Avalanche game last night, who are their 4 or 5 guys on the depth chart at right wing? I mean, beyond Rantanen?
At right wing?
At right wing. What are they going to do on the right side? Is Henry, O'Connor, Marty Kaut, Okash? Who do you like over there?
O'Connor is kind of your given. He's a guy who's earned himself a reward of at least being an everyday extra, if not, an everyday lineup guy. He's got the skating ability, he's got the work ethic, and he's earned it. So O'Connor's kind of a given, at least in my opinion.
I like his game. He's a third or fourth line guy, right, for the time being. Great forechecker, good energy guy. I like him. I haven't seen Marty Kaut this year, and I saw the Bokash kid last night play some, and I don't know how ready he is. I know he's very young. Are you moving Comfort to the wing? They're pretty deep up the middle. Like, are you going to take a guy like Comfort or Newhook or somebody and move him to the wing?
Well, here's their depth chart right now. Their depth chart down the middle is McKinnon, Kadri, and obviously, based on face-off percentage, based on where they fit, things can move. So depth charts here are not set in stone, obviously, but at least based on the depth chart down the middle right now, they're McKinnon, Kadri, Jost, Darren Helm. That's their 4 guaranteed NHL center icemen based on the depth chart. Down on the right side, Rantanen and Burakovsky are your two big ones, and again, he's solid right now. If you're following them in camp, Bednar is loving Nichushkin on the second line. So
he's a beauty on the second line. Now,
put him on the second line with Kadri and Burakovsky, and based on Bednar, he loves it. And Nichushkin has, in my opinion, Nichushkin's earned it. So you put him in those minutes and you give him that time, and he's a big body guy. For a Russian, he's not afraid to go to the corners, and he's another guy like Puljujarvi who, if you were talking about Nichushkin 3 years ago when he's in Dallas, we're like, wow, what happened to him? And now he's kind of been revitalized coming to Colorado. So down the right side, Rantanen, Burakovsky, Nichushkin, and O'Connor are your 4 main ones. And then you have Kiefer Sherwood. You have Martin Kaut. Kaut's one of those guys where if he doesn't make it by the end of his ELC, you're likely seeing him bounce out. And
you got 3 guys playing the off wing.
What's that?
You got Burakovsky, Rantanen, and Nichushkin all on the right side playing the off wing. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Rantanen likes the off wing.
I know.
He works well on the off wing.
And he can play wherever he wants to.
Rantanen loves that off wing. If you watch his one-timers, especially on the power play or anything like that. It works for him, and he does very, very well.
Protects the puck on the backhand so well. Tell me this. So as much as I like Tyson Jost, and as much as we've seen him play since he was 16, 17, I don't think he's an NHL center iceman. I don't
either.
I think Newhook is. I think Josie's better off on the left side. And
this year will tell a lot. Jost has come out and he said he's worked very, very hard in the off season to come in prepared to have a breakout year. He wants to produce. He wants to produce. He wants to be that guy. He believes he can be. I believe he can be. Either way, though, I don't write. A lot of people are critical. I don't write Jost off. He's one of those guys that as far as I'm concerned, keep him in Colorado for many, many years. I'll say that right now. Keep him there because he's an instrument. He's so big in the lineup in so many ways, because you and I both know from the developmental side of things, from all this stuff, that production in the game is not strictly on the score sheet. And what Jost has been able to do on the penalty kill and in improving his game, he's gotten stronger on the puck. He's harder to push off the puck. He's moves the puck well. He sees the ice well. He can put in half a dozen goals, timely goals when you need it. He can do these things. He's huge on the penalty kill. One of the best penalty killers I've seen in a long time from a guy who is not touted as a penalty kill guy, and he has done tremendous. And
you're talking about a very versatile player. So
I struggle to understand and see the criticism that Jost gets. I get it. I get it from the perspective of if you're criticizing Jost strictly on the basis that he was taken 10th overall, and he needs to produce more.
No longer matter. He's going to be cost effective, Evan. He's not for the time being, until he starts putting up 20 and 30. He's going to be cost effective. He can go anywhere in your lineup. He can play from top to bottom, wing or center ice. He can kill penalties. He can play power play. He can do it all, and he can do it all for a very, very modest cost right now, a modest AAV. So that being the case, it's not criticism. I love the guy.
I'd love to see him off center ice, though. I will say that
he's better off on the wing than at center ice. Now, maybe this year, maybe he's gotten stronger, maybe he's gotten faster, maybe he's made some changes in the way he approaches the game mentally, and he'll be an effective center iceman. If he is, now they're like 7 deep down the middle. If you like guys like I like Shane Bowers early on.
Shane Bowers is one of those guys, though. While you mention his name, Shane Bowers is another guy where this has got to be kind of his year, or he's likely done.
I thought he was very effective.
At least in Colorado, he's likely done if he doesn't kind of push through this year. If he's not a guy that earns himself Logan O'Connor style call ups and extra spots, he's likely done. Just look at it from an AJ Greer perspective. You work how many years, and at some point you are either an AHL guy or you break through. And I'm curious to see what he does.
The nice problem is that between Compher, Newhook, Jost, Shane Bowers, who I think can be effective in the 3 or 4 hole, you've got guys now. You got guys that can juggle around in your lineup. You got some depth and you got some options. You don't have guys that are pigeonholed into top 6, bottom 6, 7 minutes, whatever it is. So now, if you can develop a Bocage, if O'Connor is one of your guys on the top 9 on the right side, and maybe Henry becomes an everyday guy, and Marty Kaut. So yeah, you got options there, and I like it, and they've got some youth coming along that will cost them very little as they move into having to pay in a couple of years. McKinnon, they were talking about Shane Knighty was talking about last night how many contracts they have coming up. He said they've got 11 guys, but like 2 of them are everyday critical guys to sign.
Yeah.
It's just not that big of a thing. So now,
that opens the door. real quick, that opens the door for something that it's a pet peeve of mine. It really grinds my gears, and I love the passion from people. If you're a fan of the game of hockey, then I applaud you because it's the greatest game. Good for you. Love your passion. Love all this stuff. But it's a pet peeve of mine. It grinds my gears. These people that scream these things with no education. So I'm gonna scream that, okay, they got 11 contracts up. Okay, but do your homework that 9 of them are rookie ELC league minimum guys, or
they're not even
the
everyday
big
players.
the big one that gets me right now is goaltending. Blood pressure goes sky high for me with goaltending. This, Kemper, I don't know, he's had health issues, and can he really replace Grubauer? And that's the biggest question that Colorado has. I don't. But and I sit there and I'm like, do these people not realize they said the same shit about Grubauer? You trade for Grubauer, and he's not a starter. What are you doing? Why didn't you sign Varlamov?
Now,
Okay,
now they're screaming because he's gone.
Now he has health issues. Oh man, that's their biggest hole. That's their biggest flaw. Oh my gosh, he has one in his career, his entire career, Washington and Colorado, one Vezina Trophy finalist year, one. And now it's, how could you let him go? Why didn't you resign him? Kemper, health issues. And it's like,
Wow.
do you not understand? And it bothers me.
Okay, so in the guys they were talking about, which is, you're right, completely, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but Nichushkin's not going to cost a fortune. I don't buy Darren Helm. I bought him 8-9 years ago as a Red Wing. He was fantastic in the bottom six. He was very versatile, very difficult to play against. He's no longer that player.
Darren Helm is a 1-year guy. He's a 1-year depth guy who still, if you watch him play, he's still got the skating ability. So he's a depth guy that can provide energy in the bottom six for 1 year at a cheap price to kind of hopefully provide that effective experience to a team that's trying to win a Stanley Cup.
So at 27, Curtis McDermott is not a factor. He may not crack the lineup. We'll get to the defense in a minute. Jordan Gross is not going to be a factor. Francouz is not, until he proves he can stay out of the body shop, he's not going to cost you much. You got to sign Burakovsky. You got to probably have to sign Kadri or trade him. Darren Helm is not a big deal. Maltsev and Stefan Matteau are not. Those are not people on the radar that have to be signed. So it's very misleading to say they've got 9 or 10 guys that they've got to get signed. You're going to love Ryan Murray if you don't already.
Yep.
He's one of those Devin Toews kind of players that you're not going to see a lot of headlines out of, but you're going to love this guy at the end of the year. You're going to hope they re-sign him.
Yeah. So with the Kadri thing, to me, what you do with Kadri is going to depend on what he does for you up to the trade deadline, basically. So what can he do production-wise? What can he do discipline-wise? And where are you as a team come the trade deadline? Yes. If you are in need of some extra leadership depth pieces to put you over the edge come playoff time, you clear Kadri's cap space and you do what you need to do, especially if you're deep down the middle like they seem to be. So
say that. Yeah.
So and because here's the deal. Look, off the ice, nothing against Kadri. On the ice, when he is disciplined and he's producing and he's going, love Kadri.
Yep.
Here's the question, though, and this is more of a rhetorical question because we just won't know unless we get to that point.
You'll see it.
What kind of growth can Kadri show you in the discipline realm come playoffs? Because if you keep him, he is exactly what you need him to be. He is that face-off winning, second line, top 6 center iceman that you needed so desperately for a number of years. And now you have him. So don't just trade him because he gets suspended one playoff. But he is so key, though, that you cannot go into another playoffs this year if they get there and have him get suspended again. The biggest issue, and I'm not saying that the reason they didn't get past Vegas was Nazem Kadri alone. There was a lot of inconsistencies there, but he really shot himself and the team in the foot by being undisciplined and doing what he did. Should it have necessarily been?
He did it every year in Toronto.
Should it have necessarily been 8 games? No, because that's welcome to the conversation we've had a number of times about the Tom Wilson incident and whatever else. Should it have been 8 games? No, but he did deserve to be suspended. And you can't come across like that and then say, oh, well, he bent over. Well, no, he was taking a shot and you basically headhunted him. He deserved to be
4 or 5 years in a row that he's done that now. So he was vilified in Toronto for the same thing. Every spring, 3 games into the playoffs, he's gone.
Yeah.
So
here's the question. Come trade deadline, come throughout as the regular season progresses, where the team is, what Kadri's doing, all these things, you're going to have to weigh if you're Sakic, if you're Bednar, because Sakic and Bednar are a tandem. They're in each other's ears with decisions and things. Here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to weigh it. You're going to have to see the risk. If he's producing well in the regular season, and he's doing well for you, and he's providing what you wanted him to be and what you need him to be, you have to sit down in the office and ask yourself, can he be that guy in the playoffs? Not even from a production standpoint. Can he be consistent on ice, disciplined guy in the playoffs? Can he do that
on the ice? Can he stay on the roster in the springtime?
Because here's the deal. I'm obviously not in the front office, neither are you. But here's how I would do it. I'd sit down if I'm Joe or Bedsy, either one. I'd sit down in the office and you're Joe, I'm Bedsy, and I look at you and I say, can he do it in the playoffs? And if we look at each other and it is not 100% without hesitation, yes, you move him. You can't take the risk you cannot take that risk unless it is a 100%, no hesitation. Yes, he can do it. We need him. Let's go. Otherwise, you got to move him.
It also, and you're completely right, it is a playoff issue. It's the same playoff issue that the Toronto Maple Leafs will face every year, that Edmonton will face every year. Every team faces it. Nice regular season, fellas. Good job, but you're gone in 6 games. So it is a complete playoff issue, but it also depends on how much he and his representatives think he's going to be worth. If he's coming to you and saying, okay, I'm in the prime of my career and I'm looking for 6 years times 7.5, you got to move him. You got to pick up something so you don't lose him for free in the off season. If he comes in and he's making 4.5 right now, and he comes in and he goes, if I can get term, I'll re-sign for 4 or 4.5 and stay here, then you probably can risk the playoff run. But if he's asking too much money, you just have no place to put him. And he also, I like Nazem Kadri a lot, always have. He's extremely versatile, but is he anything that Alex Newhook isn't in a year or two? So a few hundred protein shakes and Alex Newhook is Nazem Kadri.
That's part of the weighing conversation you have to have if you're Sakic and Bednar. You just got to ask yourself, we're deep down the middle. Yep. Is Kadri right now anything that Newhook, Jost even, because Jost is still young, Bowers, if Bowers can break through, Comfer, is he anything that these guys aren't? And here's the deal, of those lists, I like Comfer more in comparison. If Comfer can be consistent and produce and win faceoffs, Kadri to me is a guy that can go, because now you got a guy that can play in the top 6 who goes to the dirty areas, who has shown over the years that he can scrum it up and draw penalties.
Yeah,
Kadri has a discipline issue, whereas Comfort gets in there, riles people up, and then just kind of plays like a doll and lets people kind of rag him for the sake of drawing a penalty. And
they tried to move Kadri in the offseason. His value is not that great right now. So, and it's the playoff issue. Nobody wants to invest in a guy who's in your 2-hole into the playoffs, matching up with Jamie Benn or somebody, and all of a sudden he's in the press box. So tell me quickly.
That's been my argument. One last thing. That's been my argument for years about the big over-the-top physical nature of playing hockey. Our good friend Brandon Pugnier, he and I've gone back and forth on it in years past. He'd sit down. He loves the big open ice hits and these big things. And my argument has always been against them for the Nazem Kadri, Tom Wilson reason. Suspension or not. The point is now you're taking yourself out of the play by setting out to take a big run at somebody,
or out of the series.
At the most, you're a productive guy like Tom Wilson and Kadri are and can be, and now you're taking yourself off the ice for at least a minor penalty, if not a 7, 10, 15, 20 game suspension.
Right.
How is it worth it for that, just to get the holy shit, oh my gosh moment of what an open ice hit?
You know what they need? I think what you're describing here is that these guys need to take a page out of the maturity handbook of Brad Marchand.
Oh God.
Don't you think?
I'm glossing right over that. We're moving on. What question did you have for me?
The question is the right side of your defense.
Okay.
So you got a lot of left shot guys, a lot of real NHL left shot guys. Now you've got Murray, Girard, Bowen Byram, who looks brilliant, by the way, and Devin Taves. Who plays the off wing, or who plays the off point behind Cale Makar? What does the right side of your defense look like? Is McCowan ready? Is Eric Johnson ready to go? What do you like about Barron? What are these? What's their defense going to look like? And I won't interrupt you this time. Tell me where they are, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, it's okay. So on defense, your top two right now are Girard and Makar. Okay. Your middle two is likely going to be, right now, it's Byram and Johnson.
So you put Taves to the bottom two and Girard on top?
No. Taves, right now, I'm saying right now because Taves is missing some time to start the year.
Okay.
Taves had surgery in the offseason.
Yep.
He's going to miss at least a little bit of time to start the year. Taves is a top 4 pairing. You cannot have two pairs, a top 4 without Taves in it. You just can't. So where you slot him, who he pairs with, he played well with Girard. Makar is your top defenseman, so he's got to be on the ice. Your top minutes on defense. Taves has proven he can play well with Girard and Makar, so you can put him top with Makar. You can put him in the middle with Girard, but he's got to be one or the other. Now that all depends on, shot right versus left shot, all these things, who he pairs well with in that regard. But he's got to be there. Right now he's not, simply because he's missing some time. So if we're going off the start of the year, your top 4 right now: Girard, Makar, Byram, and Johnson. Eric Johnson. He's 33 years old. He's 100% healthy right now, and as a result, he's a leader. He's passionate. He cares about your team. He's there.
He's healthy. He's fantastic.
He cannot be anywhere but the top 4 for Eric Johnson when the spot is available. That's got to happen.
If they're all healthy, you got 4 top quality NHL defensemen that are left shots. Now, last night I noticed that Byram played some on the right point, and he was pretty good at dragging the puck off the boards on the backhand and bringing it to the forehand into the middle of the ice. Somebody's got to do that. I know Sam Girard is extremely skilled as well. And this is where a guy like TJ Brody in Toronto, who has always played the off point, is fantastic on his on his backhand on the right point as a left shot. So
on the back end, I want to be careful. If it were my decision, I want to be careful of not putting a tremendous puck mover with a tremendous puck mover. I like the balance of Makar with Taves.
Well,
one can really move the puck and one can be a stay-at-home guy. I like the balance of Girard with Johnson. Johnson's a big body guy who can block shots and play in his own end, and Girard can move the puck up. I like Murray with Byram, right? Like that. That's how I like it. But how it falls, we'll see.
The beauty of what you've got to work with there now is the only one of your top 7 guys that you might not always trust, thinking back to last year's playoffs, in a third period of a 1-goal game against a really top matchup, is Sam Girard. The other guys, Makar, Byram, Taves, Murray, they can move the puck, they can step into the play, they can play on the power play, but they can also match with the other team's top line. So there is no matchup that those 4 or 5 guys can't handle, and that's the great part of that roster. But if they're healthy, one of them's got to play the off point. Just curious what you think.
If they're healthy, it's probably gonna fall. If they're all healthy, again, depending on how they play in preseason, who wins a spot, who whatever. But if they're all healthy, you're likely looking at a Makar, Taves, Girard, depending on how you want to slot it, Girard and probably Johnson, and Byram with Murray. With depending on how he plays, potentially Barron being an extra, although not having seen a lot of Justin Barron so far, you're likely looking at Jacob McDonald, who's earned himself based on play last year being at least that 7th guy. How they fall. We'll see how that goes.
You've got guys an hour away that can play in the National Hockey League. They've got at least 8 or 9 bona fide NHL defensemen, and that's a nice problem to have. And that's why I like them. And you're going to like Kemper. So this team is like, we were playing golf a couple of days ago, and somebody said, "Who do you like here?" And I said, "It's going to sound a little homer, but until I see otherwise, somebody's got to go through Colorado." Yep. I love it. Speaking of defensemen, one note for you. Remember Noah Della Durante from the showcase, defenseman from Coquitlam. I love the guy. Thought
he wore number 6, right?
Yeah. I thought he was fantastic. He really never caught on. He went to Princeton, and I don't know if it was a COVID issue or what happened to him, but he has not played. So he's now, I think, 22 or so, and never really caught on. I really thought that guy might be a late emerging kind of dark horse, but I also don't know what happened to him. So he might have got banged up. It might have been shut down due to COVID. Who knows? Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up, and missing the BCHL showcase.
Yep, exactly. Kelowna Rockets just picked up the Dak brother.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
They traded Trevor Wong to Saskatoon for Colton Dak. Dak. Picking up a name there.
Yeah, he's gonna go high. I think he's going to be good. They're going to. I saw Caden Korzak that came from Kelowna. He was in the lineup last night for Vegas. Lassie Thompson, the Foot brothers. They continue to pump them out there.
Absolutely. So, BCHL preseason is underway. Bees are a force again so far through the preseason.
Force.
NCAA getting ready here in the next week or two to get going as well. We'll see how that goes and we've touched on it. We'll see how that goes with your Alaskas and things sitting out the year, or at least falling into the independent circuit with Arizona State. So we'll see how that goes. The new CCHA division, they're back to the CCHA, which is part of the reason that it threw a wrench into things of travel and all this for a few schools. St. Thomas is a new school playing Division I in the CCHA this year. And
where are they?
St. Thomas?
Yeah.
They are, let me double check here. I think they are in, where are they?
I don't follow college hockey as well as I should.
Forgive the silence here. While I search it, what you would call dead air as I search it. But St. Thomas moving from Division III to Division I. They are in Minnesota, so they are Minnesota. Let's see, they're Minnesota private schools ejection from its conference for being too dominant. So they're a private school playing Division III, but they were apparently so dominant in Division III that the league just said we can't have this. So they're making the jump, but they're going to play CCHA with your Northern Michigans and Lake Superior and all that stuff. So
I played golf 2 weeks ago with Toby Peterson, who had 500 games in the show, came from Minnesota, came straight out of Minnesota, played in Edmonton for a while, played in Dallas for a few years, and knocked around up and down the minor leagues for a while and finally settled in here. But extremely nice kid, underrated guy, and what a fantastic guy he is. So welcome to Colorado, Toby Peterson, as a part of the Dawg Nation hockey tournament. Anyway.
But so a lot to look forward to. Regular season getting started here in the next 2 weeks or so, which is exciting. We'll have a lot more fresh content. Again, War Room whiteboard sessions. I'm really looking forward to doing that. Adding a new fresh take, something new for the show here on a daily basis. I want to make that a daily thing as much as I can. So we can touch on little things, obviously on podcast episodes, but make it as much of a daily thing as possible to keep up with the games throughout the season for YouTube and stuff like that. So a lot to look forward to.
Continue to look my very, very best for the whiteboard sessions.
So a lot to look forward to. But
one other a non-hockey related topic. 1 minute. My alter ego, my namesake,
Turd Ferguson.
Rest in peace, Turd Ferguson. Norm Macdonald, great career, funny guy.
Is that where Turd Ferguson came from? Was Norm Macdonald?
Yes.
I was unaware of that. I thought you were about to make kind of a joke that you're retiring the name Turd Ferguson, because when we get on Zoom here and I send you the invite, it always pops up as I'm sitting here waiting. Turd Ferguson, waiting for admittance into the meeting.
Yes. Waiting for Turd Ferguson. If you haven't seen it, he invented this character on Saturday Night Live called Turd Ferguson, and he is just the most hilarious, tongue-in-cheek guy you ever saw. And there was a woman, actually, Turd Ferguson played Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live, and he was a complete buffoon. And there was a woman on Jeopardy years ago, and I know it's got to be someplace on YouTube. She was on Jeopardy, Final Jeopardy. She had no idea what the answer is, and so she wrote, "Who is Turd Ferguson?" And so Alex Trebek comes on and says, "Did you get the right answer?" And then he goes, "Who is Turd Ferguson?" "No, that's incorrect." And then they asked her what she was thinking when she did that, and she said, my buddies, my family and friends back home bet me $500 that I couldn't get Alex Trebek to say Turd Ferguson on a broadcast of Jeopardy. And she did it, and she won the money. So Turd Ferguson's folklore lives on. But anyway, rest in peace, Norm. Good career. We'll miss you.
So a lot to look forward to. The speaking of trade deadline, a lot of questions in the air this year for some teams come trade deadline of which direction they're going to go. Minnesota put on a fight last year, but come trade deadline this year, especially back in the Central, with all the Central teams with playing now outside your division, as opposed to last year with doing these things. What fight does Minnesota put up? Chicago, Nashville,
right?
A number of teams like that. So which direction do they go? Where are they, and which direction do they go come trade deadline, and things like that. So a lot of, as much as we talk about contenders and basement teams and then the teams on the rise, there's also those teams right in the middle that are ready to fall and either will, and then there's the teams that could go either way. So we'll see which way they go.
Know this for sure, that 6 months from now, when we're talking about this, there are going to be at least six or maybe more extremely good hockey teams that will be at home when the playoffs begin. It could be Chicago, could be the Rangers, could even be somebody like Washington, Nashville. Go down the list. There are going to be very, very good teams that will not even see the first round. So, and that's kind of what makes the world great, because that puts drama into the end of January game, where you normally wouldn't have, because those 2 points matter just as much in October, November as they do in March and April. So don't miss any.
And we'll close with this, and we can touch on it more next week, just simply because it's more of a conversation. And in fairness, I forgot about it, not just chose to do it this late. But Jack Eichel stripped of the C in Buffalo, and still a lot of questions there. He's no longer captain, and teams not thrilled with, and concerned about the asking price for Jack Eichel in a trade, all these things. So there's a lot to unpack there that we can probably do next week or another time, but at least wanted to throw it out there. Jack Eichel no longer wearing the C in Buffalo.
Oh, and we've talked about Jack Eichel quite a bit, extremely talented guy. And he has, right now, he's got until the trade deadline, until July 13th, they've got to do something with him, or a full no move clause kicks in. And if you think he's hard to deal with right now, wait till next July. You are going to be absolutely stuck. So here's a guy with a neck injury, an attitude, and a $10 million price tag.
Yep.
And what are you going to do with it? Like, what in the world are you going to do to get assets for him? If he leaves, your rebuild just got extended 3 or 4 years. By the time you get draft picks and develop and get some assets in that you can build around, that is an absolute tire fire. And we've been through that before. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up again. It's a mess.
Warm the Hockey Podcast, episode number 5. Thanks for everybody for joining, for your patience. Thanks for joining on Zoom again this week. Again, head to the necessary social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Warm the Hockey Podcast, at Warm the Hockey Podcast, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Subscribe, rate and review. Hit the notification bell. Share with family, friends, anybody you know that loves hockey, wants to know more about hockey. We'd love for not only more support, more listeners, but we'd love for engagement. Engage with us, writing questions, share stories, comments, anything like that. Make sure you head, if you don't already, make sure you head and you support Dawg Nation. Send prayers to Peter McNabb, and we'll see you all in hockey community here in the coming weeks. NHL regular season getting ready to start.
Boom.
Boom.
Thanks. Cheers, guys. Good to see you. Cheers.